Welcome in. I'm Kimberly. This is Pretty Over 50, where we talk everything beauty, fitness, and lifestyle and healthy living for the over 50 and over 60 women, whatever age you are. This is going to be pertinent information, and I'm so glad you're here. I realize this is a little bit different time for us, but I wanted to be able to snag my great friend, Connie Rutledge, functional nutritionist, and have a conversation. But first, let's take a look at the picture on the screen. Everybody, it makes me so frustrated when people say, oh, we've just gotten gluttonous or lazy or this and that. No, studies show we're not eating any more calories than we did 30 years ago. So why the difference? Why the change? And that's what we're going to talk about tonight. And Connie, I'm so thankful for you for showing up and doing this with me because this is such a hot topic in my life. It's like I could talk about this all day long. And I think the one thing that everyone could be asking is, what the hell happened? So tell us what the hell happened.
Well, thank you so much for having me. And it's always such a pleasure to be, with you and your audience. What the hell happened? Yeah, it's abysmal how we are kind of at the mercy of the state of our food these days. And I can speak from unfortunate experience that, I have a clientele with everybody is doing the right thing, or at least they're trying to do the right thing, thinking they're doing the right thing. And it's a slippery slope, especially as we age. But the state of our food and the environmental toxins, and you and I, we could go on, and we
We
do.
can go on and on. And when I think about it, the NIH, just admitted that, yeah, fluoride does dumb you down. We've been saying that for years and been called, tinfoil hat wearing conspiracy theorists. No, it's true. So the water, the food, and they lie about the food. They lie about the food, the air, everything around us, all the toxins and the ingredients that we get sold for our home. And when I say sold, that's the truth. There has been little to no oversight in the last few decades because the agencies that are supposed to be policing these industries have gotten in bed with them, and a little bit of money is probably going back and forth. So we're left in a position where I it's so hard to just get decent, clean food anymore. I don't even go to the grocery store anymore. I very rarely go in there. And when I do, I buy a very, very limited selection of items. I get grass-fed, grass-finished meats, both beef and chicken, from a local source. And I get organic produce from a little gal that has a farm, and then she sources other stuff. But what I understand is that not everybody has the luxury or the time to do that. So how on earth are we supposed to stay healthy when 99% of the stuff in the grocery store isn't even really food? It's just packaged as food. What comes out of the tap is filled with stuff you don't want in your body, what we're breathing now. So it's such a slippery slope, and it's so hard. I would imagine your job has become more challenging to try to get people. First of all, you need to detox all that stuff out of your body, which, you guys, I can't even believe the difference in me. I started working with Connie. It's been, I think, about a year and a half now.
Yeah.
And I thought I was, I'd started this fitness journey, and I was eating foods that I thought were good for me. And she contacted me and she goes, you know what? Maybe not so much. I have gone from super inflamed and super puffy to not inflamed at all and not puffy, lost about 25 pounds. But it's more than that because I have more muscle mass. But I'll tell you what, if I had been left to my own devices and just doing what, you would hear out there to do, I'd still be where I was. So Connie, kind of walk us through what you see as the main problems in our food supply and, in the other things, sodas and water and that sort of thing. And how do we begin the process of getting from fat and inflamed and feeling cruddy to feeling a little better, looking as gorgeous as you?
Well, thank you. I mean, it takes effort and know-how, and I mean, it's not a quick fix. It's a lifestyle feature that you have to be absolutely. You don't have to be perfect at it, but you have to understand what's happening and realize that you can't go to the grocery store and buy food for the week and expect to open a box and be healthy. That's just, I mean, the way that I think about it is when we've never been in a toxic soup like we are today, and we definitely have to really realize that it's going to be something that has to be a lifestyle. It's not a diet. Yes, your diet is extremely important, but it's an understanding of resourcing your resources, your food, your water, the actions, your exercise, and it's very simple. I mean, we can boil it down to diet is essential because you can't be eating toxins, you can't be eating pesticides, you can't be eating GMOs. Yes, we're going to get that stuff when we go out to an occasional restaurant meal, but day to day, we have to have the awareness to find real food, even if it's, beans and rice, whatever you can, to more often than not have that as your go-to meal, and you feed your family and feed yourself. And I mean, I get beat up on social media because I will say, eat non-toxic organic food, and I get the blowback of I can't afford that. But when we know better, then we do better. And if you're eating out of boxes and wrappers and the things that are in the inside of the grocery store, I always say try to shop the outside aisles of the grocery store. Don't venture into the aisles because it's just completely full of the everything that's making you sick. And appreciate that, yes, when you can do organic fruits and vegetables, that's great, as often as possible. But still, a piece of fruit or a vegetable is always going to be much better than a Twinkie or a ding dong.
Yeah.
Let's be realistic. Get back to nature, get back to what your grandparents ate. And if it has, chemicals in the ingredient list, then minimize it or throw it out. So it's just awareness. It's appreciating that these toxins are living in our body. They're easily, the body sequesters toxins because it has to keep us safe. And most of those toxins are shuttled into fat cells.
And that's why we look so puffy, isn't
Yeah.
that right?
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah.
And yeah, we think, okay, I'll just go on a diet. But we have to not keep ingesting the offenders.
Yeah. And I want to interject something here. I have
Mhm.
2 points to make. The first is that I understand clearly the financial
Yes.
challenge of buying good food.
Yeah.
And it is a crime in my mind that foods without chemicals and without pesticides are more expensive. That is so frustrating, and I'll tell you what, it's because no one's working for to help us be healthy. They're working for the corporations. And when you finally get that, you'll understand. And if we start stomping our little feet and making a fuss, things are gonna change. I
Yeah.
understand that right now healthy food can be more expensive, but you know what's really expensive? Copays
Yeah.
and being sick. That's expensive. So it's like pick your poison.
Mhm.
Do you want to poison your body and then pay all the medical expenses to get yourself healthy? And I understand it's not fair. It's not.
It's not.
It's not fair. It's not right. But this is where we are right now. So you can buy the poison and pay the copays and have the down days and feel terrible, or you can just say, "I am going to get the clean food." And, we're going in a direction because there's kind of a groundswell now, people being aware that this food is poison. I do wanna point out, I've been watching the protest in front of Kellogg's, the corporate, headquarters for Kellogg's. People are out there protesting because what Kellogg's puts in the cereals for the US is toxic dyes and other things that are not allowed in other countries. So they have a formula for their product in other countries that they don't use in the US. They use the dyes and they use the the toxins.
Mhm.
My question is, standing in front of Kellogg's demanding that they clean up their food is like demanding your abusive husband stop beating you. You're in a bad relationship. Get out of it.
100%. You're so right, Kimberly, and I so
Why the hell are we even bothering trying to get them to just don't buy their crap anymore, and they'll go out of business, and people who have a heart for healthy will take their place.
100%. And it's our responsibility. But I do, like you say, realize that, I mean, when you're tired and sick and quote unquote broken, it's difficult to make a change. It's difficult to have the energy to make a change.
Mhm, and to care enough to be able to feel like you can get some energy up for doing it.
So I think the reason, the reason why you and I chatted weeks ago about doing something like this was because you had a video about you were traveling and you were talking about your fasting regimen when you're traveling with airplanes and airports, and it's just easier for you to fast. And I noticed the awe and almost shock of the listeners to, they couldn't understand how you could easily fast.
Oh, it's so easy.
It's it's easy when you're metabolically stable.
Oh,
And the fasting is probably the one of the fastest and cheapest ways to detox. So when we can appreciate, I don't want everyone, to stop eating, no hunger strikes here, but appreciating that you can slowly inch your way into metabolic freedom by doing something that is 100% free and will give you more leverage in your health journey than anything I can suggest in a supplement bottle or in a meal. So that's the number one thing that I want to help you appreciate, the timeliness of when you eat is step number one. Fasting is easy when we are healthy. When we are not healthy and when our body requires, it's got the chaos of the insulin surges and the insulin resistance and the extra body fat and the metabolic, chaos, then you're needing to make a change. And that's rule number one. Appreciate that it's time to change and decide that mindset is everything, right?
yeah. And you're right. It's hard to do when you just don't feel good.
Yeah.
But it's like getting to that place where you can feel good. And I'll tell you, for those who didn't watch the video, I talked about fasting. When I travel, and because I live on the East Coast and my daughter lives on the West Coast, it's a long day for me
Yeah.
because I have to take the shuttle and then you got to wait the 2 hour, it's like blah, blah, blah. It's a long day. So I just don't eat. I don't eat the whole time. The only thing I do is I have a little bit of water while I'm on my trip. I don't have a whole lot of water because I'm on an airplane and I don't want to get up and go to the bathroom every 5 minutes. But it's super, super easy. And the cool thing about it is that what Connie says, it's one of the easiest, cheapest things. It's free.
It's free.
It's free to fast. And once you get into it, it's super easy. I never think about eating when I travel. I never get hungry. And the airport is a toxic load of the worst food on the planet. So you don't want to be eating that stuff anyway.
100%, 100%. And there are, there are tricks you can do to make fasting easier. And like I said, you need to ease into it. And it's not something that you're going to do, a 72-hour fast in tomorrow if you've never fasted before. So I feel like that's kind of the step one is
Okay. So when you ease into it, so the person who's never fasted, they've got a lot of sugar in their diet, so their blood sugar's all over the place. They're mostly not feeling good. What would you say for their first time? How would you structure it?
ideally when I talk to people who are really not educated in fasting, we're designed to fast at least 12 hours in a 24-hour period. Okay. And you go to bed at night and you wake up and, you don't sleep for 12 hours, but typically you eat your dinner and you stop eating and you have, that's 7 p.m. You finish your dinner, your evening meal, and you do not eat until 7 a.m. the next morning, nothing but water. And you make sure that you can do that without getting shaky or getting dizzy. That should be step number one. And then you can extend that intermittent fast by an hour or 2 hours. And, then you have 14 hours. And you don't have to do this every single day, but you want to make sure that you're kind of training your metabolism so that you have fuel that is utilized, the fat that you have in and the sugar in your body, you're running on that. So typically, I think when we got started, you were fasting maybe 16 hours in the beginning. And, that's many of us are fine skipping breakfast. That doesn't work for everyone. And studies have come out to say that we're better off fasting in the evening. But I don't want to get into all of that deep stuff. For the novice that really hasn't done it, a 12 to 16-hour fast is a really good place to start. You can drink water, you can drink black coffee, you can drink black tea, you can have electrolytes if you need them, but nothing with calories for the most part.
Yeah.
And then go ahead.
It may sound daunting and hard.
Mhm.
It isn't once you start getting used to it. I don't eat before 1 o'clock every day. It's like I go to bed at night, I finish up,
Mhm.
and then I don't eat till 1 o'clock, and it's super, super comfortable and very natural. So don't get scared about it. You'll be fine. I promise.
It also helps, fasting also helps you kind of understand your relationship with food. Because when you are, my big keys are intermittent fasting and then no snacking, because you need to let your body, and this is another piece of the detox puzzle, because your body has a natural ability to clean itself. It's a cleansing wave that your digestive tract has built in. I mean, nature is incredible. And every 90 minutes or so, your body, unless there's food involved, if you've eaten, that disrupts it, but your body then has this beautiful cleansing wave that sweeps through your intestines and moves food along. It then finishes its journey and it's out of your body. So if you're snacking, and I think the average American eats about 12 to 18 times a day, it's ridiculous.
I'm surprised at that. Oh
Well,
my gosh.
think about it. Think of the huge Starbucks, and every sip of that, sweet, toxic drink is eliciting your body. It feels food is coming in. And so when we're training ourselves to eat our meals in a feeding window, maybe you have an hour of a feeding window, hour and a half of, you start off with your main meal, great protein, good quality carbohydrates, and you're really nourishing yourself. And at the end of that feeding window, maybe it's an hour later, you're going to shut that feeding window down so that your body can use the food you're eating. You have maybe a little tiny snack. everybody's different in how that works for you. But I always say, get your body kind of geared up to be able to not need to eat for another 3 to 4 hours. And many of us that have practiced that for the long term, I mean, it just tees you up for this beautiful kind of ease in your body. You're less toxic because your body's not bloated, and you're not festering with all kinds of snack food, and your insulin is low. You're metabolically just very stable.
Yeah. And I'll tell you, when I first started working with Connie, and she brought up the concept of the feeding window, and then you close that window, I was like, "What? What? I don't know if I like that." Because I was so used to just, walking by the kitchen and grabbing a little something, something, or having a piece of fruit, or maybe a little snacky here or something here. I didn't realize all the times during the day that I was putting food into my body, which spikes your insulin, and it has nothing to do with being hungry. It's more of like an entertainment thing or a feel-good thing. And now I don't snack at all now. I maybe will have an outside of my feeding window snack maybe 2 or 3 times a month. I mean, it's just really, really rare, and I'm aware of it when I do it. It sounds like, "Oh, I can't do that," but once you understand that when you sit down to eat and you're eating a good quality, nutrient-dense food, that little snacking fades away because you just don't need it.
100%. And you get used to feeling good, and you don't need that next bite, because every time you put a bite of food in your mouth, your body has to create insulin. That's just how we're designed. So when you and I like to also add that if you're having trouble, if you're hungry, you need to eat, but designate it to be true hunger, not boredom, not entertainment, but to be physically hungry. Then you feed your body. And as you start to do that, you'll become more aware of what's happening. And when you get your nutrition on board, which is essential for all things detox, because you have to have energy to be able to detox. We are so, I think we were told, I mean, we're, especially our age, chronic dieters. It was the low calorie. I mean, it was the eat, fluff. And, if it had calories, you didn't, you ate little. And so you ate these little tiny meals all day long. Well, that's just teeing up disaster, because your body's going to make more insulin, even if it's celery sticks. And you're hungry and you're feeling uncomfortable. So that's rule number 1. Eat in feeding windows and practice the intermittent fasting.
Yes, perfect. So can we that and that's such a beautiful way to start, and it's so powerful. It's probably one of the most powerful tools we've got in our toolkit right there is the fasting. Can we move into, and I'm curious about this because I know that put some thought into this. If we were to look at the things you really don't want to put into your body,
Okay.
what would you say would be like the top 5 or 6 that you just don't even wanna eat?
Well, I would say the processed food, the boxes, the the things that are unnatural, the sugar for the what do I want to call it? The artificial sugars, so the sweeteners, okay, the aspartame, like the high fructose corn syrup, the the preservatives and the pesticides.
Yeah.
Those things are everywhere. And I mean, even when you're buying organic, I don't think we can if we test that stuff, it has pesticide residue. It's everywhere.
Yeah.
But we have to do the best that we can do.
Mhm.
like I said before, even a vegetable on the produce aisle that has pesticides is going to be better than the processed baked, Twinkie. It's confusing, and it's really difficult to navigate, but we know real food from not real food. Okay. So, I mean, maybe food sense, if you're sensitive to something that causes, you to be inflamed the next day, everybody's unique. Okay. Some people can eat, Cool Whip, and maybe it's the dose dependent. Why do I say Cool Whip? Because it's not food, you know.
That's so true. That's not food. I wanna say that in the grocery store to people, "That's not food. Put it back. Put it back."
But you can have a dollop of it and be unaffected. You're not wearing it the next day. So I think it comes down to common sense, and we want to stick to the proteins. I'm going to say eat animals, because we're animals. We need that amino acid profile of meat. In my opinion, most of us do much better with that. That said, there are the vegetarians that will argue with me, and if it works for you, great. That's great. If you're healthy and you're where you are body wise, keep doing it. I mean, that's important. We want whole food. We want fruits and vegetables. Grains, well, if you can tolerate them, that's something that is, we need. Most wheat is sprayed profusely with glyphosate.
And they use it as a desiccant.
It dries it out so they
Yeah.
can process it.
It's like they literally spray glyphosate on the wheat to dry it, and then it soaks it all up, and then they grind it up and put it in your bread. I mean, it is ridiculous, the level of poisons that are in our food.
And the glyphosate in the modern wheat acts like an antibiotic in your gut. So it's killing off your gut bugs.
Oh,
And
I didn't know that. Ugh.
it acts like an antibiotic. I mean, it's a weed killer. And so it's killing things in your body that you want to keep.
Yeah.
So occasionally you can handle it. I'm not perfect. I'll go out for a burger now and then, and I know that I'm eating something that's not healthy. But when you can do the right thing 80% of the time, 20% of the time, you can handle. I mean, life is meant to be enjoyed, but you have to understand and qualify and quantify to be healthy.
Mhm. Yeah, and that's so true. Connie said to me in the beginning, we started working together, 80-20. Just try to do your best 80% of the time. And what I find is that it's generally like 95-5 for me. Once you get into it, it's really my choice because, first of all, I feel so much better. I am so much less inflamed. I almost appreciate that more than the fat loss. And whenever which is so very rare, but every now and then, like, I'll go out with some friends to a restaurant or something, by golly, I can feel it. Become very sensitive when you're no longer, coursing all that toxins through your body. You can really tell when something's on board that your body isn't used to, you know?
And I feel like mindset is a big piece to this. If you're feeling like you're being deprived, or you're feeling like you are you're having to not participate. I mean, the way that we think about something, what we believe, is so important. So if you get your head right and you just say, I owe it to myself to practice this way of lifing, it's a lifestyle.
Yeah. And you know what? I see that a lot. I live in a community where and if you live here, I love you, but most of the people are overweight because it's an older community. So most everybody is fluffy.
Yeah.
And I look at them and I don't judge it like, "Oh, you're fat," or whatever. I just think this food supply is making people sick. But here's the deal. It's not just the toxins in the food, it's the toxic information that you get on things like television and radio. They convince you that you deserve that Twinkie or that donut or that Starbucks or that, that whatever as part of it's their marketing program, and so it's really easy to internalize that and all of a sudden feel like, "Well, I deserve that drink, or I deserve that donut, or I deserve it." No, that's marketing. They just want your money. They don't care if you're fat and sick and feel horrible. They're
Well,
marketing to you.
yeah, they have a customer for life if you're in the system doing the things that they're telling you to do. That said, we have toxins everywhere. It's not the food. Yes, it is the food. It's not just the food.
It's not just the food, yeah.
Water, like you said, it's the heavy metals that they put in all kinds of jabs and medication, and that's in our water. It's the furniture, it's our, the things we have in our homes, it's our cleaning supplies, it's our cosmetics.
It's the aluminum, barium, and strontium in the sky,
Exactly.
which
So
is falling down on us.
yeah, and we, it's not like we're going to do anything about it sitting here talking about it, but when we can tee up the physical body to have the resources to be able to utilize and be where, to handle it, then we're miles ahead.
Yeah. Yeah.
Having that awareness is a big piece, I think. So,
Yeah.
and the discussions that we're having are important because you get on your day to day, and if you're not aware, then you're not aware.
Yeah. And it will change. I mean, I think the tolerance for it is coming to an end, but right now we're still in the thick of it. So, making ourselves aware that there's a better choice out there. There's a better way to live. So, let's talk about how we start. So we've learned about fasting. We've learned how important, cheap, easy it is to do. One of the best things you can do for your health. What are some things like, we talk about the liver and all the, where all these toxins collect in the body. What can we do in addition to fasting that are help pull that stuff out of our body and free us from it?
We can move our lymphatic system. So I'm really kind of teeing up the free and easy, well, the easy low hanging fruit. Let's put it that way, and things that everybody has access to. Go out for a walk, move your body, do the heavy lifting. Do the weight training, the resistance training. None of this is, it's all out there. We've talked about it and talked about it, which there's a reason why. So your lymph system is part of that detox, because when bouncing, our weight bearing, the what is that, the rebounder?
Yeah, I love my rebounder. That's my new boyfriend.
Yeah, that's fantastic. I play tennis, so I'm pounding on the tennis court. I love my exercise ball. I'll sit on that if I'm having a conversation on the phone, or just idle, and I'll just bounce up and down. It just moves the lymph. It moves the body. So exercise, hydration. Excuse me. We need clean water.
Yeah, we do.
The reverse osmosis water filtration is great, but it pulls everything out. I like a water revitalizer. I have a couple, I have my favorite company, Pure Effect. That said, there's the restructuring of the water, but we have to clean the water before tap water is a no-no, unfortunately. These things are essential to the overall picture. Our bile needs to be, a lot of us at this stage in life have sluggish bile because maybe we're not hydrating well enough. The body's gotten stagnant. We're not moving enough. Digestive enzymes are very important. Enzymes, apple cider vinegar, Swedish bitters, those types of things and proper hydration to tee up the digestive tract's ability to handle what it's been given.
Okay, let's stop there, and I wanna drill down into, the topic of water is a real hot button for me, and it's very frustrating that our tap water has been so mismanaged, and we got sold the whole fluoride thing for decades. It had
Yes.
nothing to do with healthy teeth,
No,
nothing. It
no.
had to do with profit for the company that was selling the fluoride to the cities and some other nefarious things that I won't even go into. Some of you will already know what that is. But I look at the wa now I have a reverse osmosis countertop unit.
Right.
It's good. I mean, it's a commitment. It's not exactly like you flip on the switch and it's super easy. You gotta manage it. I'm not familiar with what you're using, but I do know it's a huge issue because you can't drink what's coming out of the tap and feel like you're getting good water. None of us have a spring down the street or in our backyard anymore like it used to be that you got spring water, which is the best water that you can get.
Right.
Most of the water sold in the stores is in plastic, and I'm finding out now that we're all eating about a credit card's worth of plastic every week or every month. I forget what the stats were on that. But there's microplastics that we're ingesting, which is making us sick.
Sure.
There is like the Mountain Valley has the water in the bottles, but I've noticed the cost of that has almost more than doubled in the last few years. It used to be about $1 a bottle. It's now $2.49 in my area, which is crazy ridiculous. If it feels like they're trying to keep you sick, I would say there's probably some truth to that. So what do we do, Connie, to get good water? I mean, it's like it's so frustrating for me.
Well, we need, yeah, it's very frustrating, and you're absolutely right. You have to understand it. The reverse osmosis is going to pull out the toxins, and you need to add in minerals back in. And we haven't even discussed supplements yet, but the minerals are one of the kingpin in detoxification because and we need to supplement them. The soils that we have in our food that we grow is mineral deficient because of the factory farm, the way that we've done farming, unfortunately. So the micro minerals like the beam minerals and the ion are wonderful liquid mineral supplements that are going to add back in the things that are pulled out of our spring water, the minerals in our spring water. And minerals are the spark plugs of the body. It
Yeah.
gives us energy, and it's from the earth, and our bodies need these things. And when we're drinking water devoid of these, and we're eating food that's devoid of these minerals. And we're sweating and we're living life in a toxic environment. We have to supplement somehow to get them back into the body so that the body has balance, because it's an energetic, event here. Those minerals are definitely playing a role.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Now I do electrolytes every morning. So I'll have my coffee and
Mhm.
then I'll mix up my electrolytes in my reverse osmosis water.
Yes.
And then I drink my tea all day long in the reverse osmosis water, but of course it's no minerals, but I've had the minerals earlier in the day. Would you supplement on top of that or and then tell us about the system you use for your water?
So the Pure Effect filter is it's filtering differently than the Home Depot reverse osmosis. It's not pulling out all of the minerals in the tap water. It is more revitalizing it and teeing it up. And it's been a while since I've studied it. So in order to really, speak efficiently at it, but I'll post a link in my on my website, ConnieRutledge.com, if you're interested. Great company. They're the real deal.
Okay, and so does it go on the tap? Is that how?
Under the sink unit,
Okay.
or you can put it anywhere. I think ours is in the garage. I've got a couple of them. And it goes through just like the reverse osmosis under the sink filter.
Okay.
Okay. Yeah.
Okay. And I know it feels frustrating. I'm sure it does to think we can't even drink water anymore without, wondering what's in it, but that's just where we're at.
And
And I
I
just want to encourage you to throw a fit.
Yeah, right. And be aware and appreciate that. I mean, we're pretty much amazing in this soup that, so we I don't want to dissuade or make anybody feel like, oh, it's impossible, why try? I feel like let's bring awareness to the issue. And then we kind of move forward in finding our way to be able to be as, feel as wonderful as we should.
Yeah.
That's my
Okay. Ruth has a question. Can you tell me if desiccants are safe to use? Those tiny pouches come in my vitamins plastic bottles, and I'm wondering if they are safe.
what a
Oh,
good
is
question.
that what soaks up the
Yeah,
moisture? Oh,
yes,
okay.
moisture. Well, those are encapsulated from what I understand, and I'm not an expert at this, but they're encapsulated and they're not sprayed on your vitamins and your inside your bottles. So they should be safe.
Okay. Thank you. Yeah. All right. So we've talked about fasting, which is one of the best things you can do. Is there anything, and then we talked about water. It's a
Okay.
frustrating topic. Again, I encourage you, throw a little fit.
Yeah.
That things are only going to change if we just say, this is ridiculous. This is our country. This is our world.
Right.
So what next as far as we talked about moving as well. So what's next in, getting those toxic agents out of our bodies?
Well, do you want to go into like binders and things like that now, or should we save that
We're
for?
gonna save that for part 2.
Okay, that's
So right now we're talking more of the
day to
super
day.
easy, low cost things that you can do.
I would recommend Epsom salt baths.
Oh,
Those
tell
are
tell
wonderful.
us more. Tell me more.
So an Epsom salt bath is a mineral, and it's going to, seep in because toxins enter the body through food or through our mouth, through our skin, through our lungs, and our we if we sit in a bath with Epsom salts, it is going to help remineralize the body and help us detox.
I did
So
not know that.
yeah, so it's not only going to be relaxing and, luxurious, but I always want you to use about 2 cups of Epsom salt fill up the bathtub, and it can be, very full. You don't have to sit in it, but a nice 2 cups. You can use, I like Epsom salts that are not flavored in any way. If you need some flavoring, you can put some essential oils in there. That's great. You can also put some baking soda if you'd like. That's a little more of a detox situation, but sit in there for 15, 20 minutes. Always rinse off after you do that, and then, go about your day. I also can say that a castor oil pack would be another very easy and, ancient remedy to put over your liver or wherever you feel, you're having trouble. You could use it on your thyroid. If you have breast implants, you could put it on your breasts. If your liver is always a sure bet, but that's a wonderful detox tool to help your body just kind of expel toxins and heal. Okay. Gosh, I mean, you could really get alternative and do coffee enemas are another way. And the mechanism for that, it's very controversial, but age old. I mean, they used to use coffee enemas on the battlefield in World War I, I think, because it helps with pain. But what happens in the enema with the caffeine in the coffee, it stimulates the hepatic valve that goes to the liver, directly to the liver. And the liver is our vacuum cleaner bag of the body. Okay. And its blood is coursing through 100% of our blood volume goes through the liver every 3 minutes.
Wow.
So when we think about that, if the liver has been impacted by the caffeine, it's going to squeeze a little bit harder because the caffeine's going to allow that. And it's going to push toxins down the hepatic valve into the colon. And obviously the enema is going to, evacuate the colon. So if you can hold that enema for 13 minutes, you're getting, a lot of detox capabilities. So it's not for everyone, but if you're in dire straits and you need a quick fix, something like that is a wonderful and very cost-effective way to detox.
Yeah, and I've done them. I've done them. They're very powerful, and I know it sounds a little weird and a little uncomfortable, but, you just figure it out.
Yeah, I mean,
You do it.
research it, YouTube, there's so much information out there.
Yeah, and one thing I can say, Connie got me on the castor oil pack, and I bought the one from Queen of Thrones that you can get on Amazon, and it's like a little, kinda cozy thing you put over your liver, you drench it in castor oil. It is the weirdest thing, you guys. When I go to put that on before I go to bed, my body just goes, "Ooh," it's like my cells almost, like, get a little giddy. I'm telling you, I am not kidding you one little bit, and if you try it, you might see it too, because I think my body loves it.
Yeah.
Just lo It's like, "Ooh," and I sleep so well the nights I do that, it's a wild thing. Super inexpensive to do, and sometimes, in my world, my sheets work for me. I don't work for my sheets, so they're there to do what I need them to do. Some nights, I don't even put the pack on, I just rub a whole bunch of castor oil in the area of my liver, then I put it underneath my eyes, on my eyelids, and on my eyebrows because it's good to grow hair,
Yeah,
and I just crawl into bed. Do my sheets get stained? Yes, but they work for me.
I love it.
So
Good for you.
yeah, that's the way it happens at my house, and you can try it too.
Absolutely. Oh, that's
Yeah.
fun. That's
Connie,
fun.
this has been fabulous. We're just about through our hour now. What I love about the choices you've given us tonight or the suggestions is that they're very doable and they're very, very affordable. And boy, I if you just did what Connie talked about this, in this video, and we're going to be doing a 3-part series. This is just the first.
Mhm.
If you do just this, you're gonna be stunned and amazed at the changes in your body.
And it's not easy. You have to set your mind and you have to do it just like you have to exercise and you have to feed yourself and you have to brush your teeth, but it's worth it. And you're right. It doesn't take long for your body to say, "Oh, thank you." I'm assuming most of your audience is pretty keyed or, clued in. That said, maybe there's something that you hadn't thought of today. And maybe you want to really kind of dive deeper into the intermittent fasting and get better at that and feel stronger as a result. That, I mean, these are tried and true ancient remedies that, I mean, I didn't make them up. I'm just
Yeah.
offering them so that you can maybe, maybe practice that for you.
Yeah. And it's just our little effort to counteract all the lies and messaging that big food
Yes.
is filling up the airways with. It's crazy. The degree to which they will tell you ridiculous stuff in order to sell you a product is crazy. And we've just got to start saying no. We just got to say, enough, enough. Shop local, grow your own food if you can. Find somebody in your neighborhood who does it. You can go to CSA
Mhm.
or localharvest.org, localharvest.org, and you can type in your zip code and you'll find all the growers in your area that are growing locally. You can check and see if they're organic, start using them. So there's lots of resources out there. We just have to work a little harder right now. And again, throw a fuss. We're only going to change things if we just stop feeding these people our money when they're just poisoning us. So
And if we're at the farmer's market and we build community, and I mean, I think that's so important. Think about the way things were before television and the internet. We were, having conversations that's important. So your community is essential to,
yeah.
I think, how we're going to get back to the way it should be.
The way it should be, yes. So we're going to be doing part 2 and part 3 the next 2 Wednesdays. So 3 Wednesdays in this month, we're gonna do the whole thing on detox, and the reason Connie, she sent me an email and said, "Hey, let's talk about this," and I said, "No, let's do a 3-part series
Mhm.
because I want you guys to have all the information you need in order to, first of all, get started with what Connie talked about today, and then take it a little further. And so you can go back and watch these over and over again, and you will be equipped to completely change the toxicity level in your body and to really get yourself in a good start in completely changing the way that you look. And then you won't be fluffy anymore."
You won't be. You'll feel amazing. And
Yeah.
if you're that woman that said, "There's no way I can fast for 24 hours," then I dare you.
Yeah.
Bill, you can do it. It might take some time, but you will not be sorry. I
You will
promise.
not be sorry. Yeah, once you get your blood sugar and everything clicking along, you'll just feel so much better, and that's what I want for you. I want you to have the most incredible, amazing life and a ton of energy and a body that really works for you because we got lots of stuff to do, ladies. We got lots of stuff to do.
We need you.
Yes, we need you. All right, everyone. Thanks so much for joining us. We will be back next Wednesday, same time. And again, we're going to talk about the next step. And then the following week, we're going to kind of wrap it up and finish it up. So thank you so much for joining us. This really means a lot to me. And again, throw a fit. Connie, thank you so much for taking time out to do this.
It's my pleasure. Thank you so much for having me.
All
All right.
right.
Everyone
Thanks,
next.
everyone. Connie, stick around. Okay. Thanks. All righty.